People. Needless to say, it was where Lu Zueki was going to compete today. Tia Bai glanced over there, snorted disdainfully. He naturally had no good feelings towards the person who defeated his daughter. He then led his disciples towards the platform to the west. After walking a few steps, Zhang Xiaofan suddenly shook, seeing a group of people walking towards them from a side path. Leading them was an old man with a venerable appearance. Walking beside him was Zhang Xiaofan. Behind the two of them, there were about 100 disciples from Fangui Peak. Zhang Xiaofan saw the group led by senior brother Gao, but strangely didn't see Pang Cheng among them. As if noticing Zhang Xiaofan's searching gaze, when the two groups passed by each other, Zhang Xiaofan suddenly said to Zhang Xiaofan, "Senior brother Pang is in here. He's recuperating at his residence." Zhang Xiaofan forced a smile, but saw Zhang Xiaoshu's face turn serious, and even his gaze seemed icy when he looked over. The leading elder with the venerable appearance was naturally the head of Fangui Peak, Zhang Xiaoshu. He glanced at Zhang Xiaofan, who felt that although the elder's gaze had no sharpness, it was incredibly profound. As if seeing into the depths of his heart in an instant, he couldn't help but shrink back. At this moment, Tia Bai said, "Greetings, senior brother Zhang." Zhang Xiaoshu returned the greeting. "Greetings, senior brother Tia. I heard that your sect has produced a talent named Zhang Xiaofan with extraordinary skills. Yesterday, he fought my incompetent disciple Pang Cheng and left him severely injured." Zhang Xiaofan was shocked and exclaimed, "What? Senior brother Pang is injured so badly?" As soon as these words were spoken, the disciples of Fangui Peak were immediately in an uproar, feeling that this person was truly malicious, injuring someone and then pretending to be surprised, showing either indifference or sarcasm towards Pang Cheng. A flash of anger crossed Zhang Xiaoshu's eyes, but he couldn't erupt in front of the younger generation. He could only give a cold smile and said to Tia Bai, "Senior brother Tia, your disciples are impressive." Tia Bai, originally frowning, felt that Zhang Xiaofan, this brat, didn't know how to speak, but hearing Zhang Xiaoshu's words, he seemed to sense a hint of ridicule. Being a proud person, Tia Bai immediately smiled at Zhang Xiaoshu. Where, senior brother Zhang is too kind. Xiaofan, come and greet senior uncle Zhang." Zhang Xiaofan was stunned, but Zhang Xiaoshu's expression changed. With a wave of his sleeve, he coldly said, "No need." Then he turned and left. Zhang Xiaoshu glanced at Zhang Xiaofan and said indifferently, "I didn't expect you to be so cunning. I even begged senior brother Pang to go easy on you, but instead, it's him who suffered because of you." Zhang Xiaofan felt anxious and said, ID in single quotes T ... double quotes. Before he could finish his words, Zhang Xiaoshu had already turned around and left. The disciples of Fangui Peak followed, their gazes icy. Zhang Xiaofan felt distressed. At that moment, he saw senior brother Gao walking past him in the crowd, blinking at him. Zhang Xiaofan was taken aback, but senior brother Gao had already walked away. Tia Bai glanced at the disciples of Fangui Peak and smiled coldly, then waved his hand and led the crowd towards the western platform for today's competition. As they approached, they found that there were also 200 people gathered there, and it seemed that besides Lu Zueki's platform, this was the busiest place on Yunhai Square. Zhang Xiaofan took a deep breath and whispered to his senior brother beside him, "With so many people, senior brother Changjian must be very formidable, right?" The others laughed, and he Dazi said seriously, "Senior brother Chang is indeed profound in his skills, but most of these people are probably here to see you, junior brother." Zhang Xiaofan was shocked and asked, "Why?" Hidazi chuckled and said, "Up to now, only 8 people remain in the 7 Peaks competition. Among them, you are the biggest dark horse. Who wouldn't want to see how many tricks you've got?" Zhang Xiaofan was speechless. Tia Bai led the crowd to the platform, and along the way, as they were from Dezhou Peak, the crowd made way for them. Tia Bai looked around and saw many Changmen disciples in the crowd, probably because Changmen's Changjian was competing today. So there were more Changmen disciples here to watch, but he didn't see many Changmen elders, nor did he see ZhuXian, the head of Qingyun. Tia Bai frowned and whispered to Su Yu beside him, him, why hasn't the sect leader come? Are there any other Qingyun disciples competing? Su Ryu shook her head and said, no, this year, for some reason, the qualifications of Qingyun disciples are not very good. Now, only Changjian is left. Tia Bai pondered for a moment, then walked to the center of the platform below. There were 5 or 6 chairs there, but only an old man with a white beard was sitting there. Seeing Tia Bai and the others arrive, the old man stood up. Zhang Xiaofan was stunned, recognizing the white-bearded old man as the one who sat in the audience when he competed with Chu Yuhong the day before yesterday. The white-bearded old man also seemed to remember Zhang Xiaofan. He glanced at him and then said to Tia Bai, "Senior brother Tia, I didn't expect your sect to produce a talent this year." Tia Bai seemed to have a good relationship with this old man. He chuckled and said, "Senior brother Fan, you're too kind. Please have a seat." At this moment, the sound of a bell rang from behind the platform. Tia Bai turned back to Zhang Xiaofan and said, "Old 7, it's your turn on stage." Hundreds of pairs of eyes immediately looked over and fell on Zhang Xiaofan. Zhang Xiaofan had never been stared at by so many people in his life. His face flushed with heat, and he responded, "Yes." Then, he turned his head and dared not look back, walking towards the platform, but he was stopped by Su Ryu after a few steps. Zhang Xiaofan was surprised and asked, "Mother, what's wrong?" Su Ryu smiled slightly, with a caring look on her face. "Is the wound on your body still hurting?" Zhang Xiaofan shook his head and said, "Master treated me personally, and it's almost healed."